We welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on a Tuesday afternoon. A lot to get into today. The dear Goon and I will be on for the first hour of today's program, and we'll be joining the radio audience here momentarily. And then Chris Buchanani will be on for the second hour today. I'm actually heading over to State College Area High School in the North Gym to call a PIAA girls volleyball match and do the PA for that tonight. By the way, if you are tuning in on Facebook Live, not in the State College area, how badly do we wish we could have this weather on Saturday for Penn State, Michigan? It is a glorious day in the Valley of Happiness as we welcome in the Sports Radio 98.7, the Fox audience as well.
It's 65 today.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy nice.
Yeah, and then it's been crazy for this Saturday. It was started off at like 41. Now we're up to 49 and partly sunny, which is fine.
Yeah.
But this is unbelievable.
No, this would be absolutely phenomenal for a November football game.
All right, I have to ask you right off the top.
Yeah.
Right off the top before it even comes up. James talked about, he says he feels as if this could help us out being a noon game versus a night game. He said the fans are going to be into it crazy, which I get. It is Michigan. But you're asking a lot of those students that they're not really very punctual students when it comes to a noon game versus a big time opponent.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be loud and ruckus like it normally is for a night game?
I do. I don't know if it'll be quite as loud as for a whiteout, but yeah. I do think listen, I think as we get closer, it's kind of funny, just the way human nature is, I guess. You know, after the Ohio State game, I think for many Penn State fans, the majority of Penn State fans, it felt like the world had collapsed. Everything that you had dreamed about and worked for, and we talked about it that week. It's like, man, it's all out the window. And you know, Booch will be on from 4 to 5 here today in my stead. Said that, you know, one of the big problems is now you've taken control of your fate out of your hands. Correct. But most of us had agreed, I think, at the start of the season that if Penn State went 1-1 against Michigan and Ohio State and won the rest of their games, that this would be considered a successful season, and it was likely that Penn State could get into the playoffs, could get into the Big Ten championship game. Here is the where we're at now. And yes, I get it. The loss to Ohio State. But if they had beaten Ohio State and then lost to Michigan, you're in the same position. Correct. In that you don't control your own fate still. It still is going to be dependent on the result of that Michigan-Ohio State game. So truthfully, I think you were resigned to that at the before the season began. I think what has changed, at least for some fans, and listen, I'm in the camp that I need to see it to believe it as far as Penn State beating Michigan. Do I think Penn State has a shot here on Saturday? Yeah, but I thought that right after Ohio State. I thought it after Indiana. And a lot of folks, there's a small percentage of a chance, but realistically, they're not beating Michigan. We'll get into that a little bit, but I've thought all along it's not that long of a proposition, not that crazy of a thought that Penn State could beat Michigan. Penn State's defense is legit. Penn State's defense is going to keep this team in most, if not all, games, and I think what we saw Saturday against Maryland, Goon, and I get it's Maryland, and this is a Maryland team that has now lost 4 straight, and it feels like the wheels may be coming off, which is, crazy, for as down as Penn State fans are on what has happened here, and, can't get over the hump against Ohio State, Michigan, and I know fans don't like hearing James Franklin talk about, hey, let's appreciate the wins. I got to tell you, Goon, appreciate the wins. Look at what is happening around college football. I get it, and I'm with you. I want to beat Ohio State and Michigan. I don't want to every year be the third team in the Big Ten. So I'm with you. I get it. I'm with you 100%. I think James Franklin gets it and is with you 100%. But for those that continue to clamor for a change and, man, we got to get somebody in here and then we'll get over the look at the long list of schools. Listen, USC, who doesn't think USC, with the hire of Lincoln Riley, didn't hit a home run? Well, would you rather be USC or Penn State, though, as you sit here right now today? Well, I mean, Penn State, and it's not close, right?
Yeah.
Nebraska is the example we probably use too often, but honestly, I mean, that was a powerhouse program consistently, and then they dropped a little bit, but Bo Pelini was winning a lot more games than he was losing. Now, they weren't, winning national titles, but again, they were winning 9-10 games a year, and that wasn't good enough. They got rid of him. Well, now look at Nebraska, and I think Matt Rule was a good hire. I thought Scott Frost was a good hire. Again, I don't know, and that's my point and my concern is, and it's not really a concern because it's not happening, that James Franklin was going to be here for the foreseeable future. But my concern with fans who think that it would be a good idea, you need to think it through. Again, it is much more likely, no matter who you bring in, whoever you think is the home run hire, by God, that guy would get the job done. I think it is much more likely that Penn State would slip back, no matter who it is you brought in as a head coach, than maintain even where they're at, let alone, all right, get to the point where Penn State is where Ohio State is, where they're dominating the conference.
I am quite thoroughly pretty fired up for this game, as in for a Penn State victory, honest to God. I think with all the stuff surrounding Michigan right now, that I have not seen one person say, hey, we got to get ready for Penn State this weekend. And I hope our guys are licking their chops waiting for these guys to get here.
Yeah, I think in that locker room, Michigan I think this is pulling them together. I do. Just the day up and down every day and every night. It's different stories. So whatever. I mean, you're right. That could be happening. He could be circling the wagons with these guys and saying, listen, I'm not going to say anything publicly, but damn, this is bullcrap, and I'm sure he's saying that. So, okay. So, yeah, we struggled against Ohio State, Michigan. What Penn State quarterback has not struggled playing at Ohio State? Question. We have 2 wins, I'll say the modern era, which would be our, youth versus in the Big Ten era. How's that? Who are the 2 winning Penn State quarterbacks? Against Ohio State?
Against Ohio State, at Ohio State.
Oh, my gosh. You're going to I
don't mean to dog you like this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's.
Go ahead.
Well, what I said on my radio show or the TV show last night was nobody from Penn State plays well at Ohio State. Nobody. We never have.
Well,
93 KC got his butt kicked. That's mostly due to us, but I mean, Big Daddy made us all the little boys. So, Daryl Clark got hurt. Pat Devlin had to come in. Remember to win the 2008 game, and then 2011. When we had Scrap as a coach and they had Luke Fickell as a coach, because we were both running through all their different sanctions, all of us, Matt McGloin beat Ohio State. So what I'm saying is the Ohio State loss, it's actually they played pretty well out there. And you hit the nail on the head, and our defense is going to keep us in games. And I'm going to tell you, after last year's debacle in Ann Arbor, with how they ran up 423 yards of rushing on our defense, and they went after them over and over and over again, ran it down our throats. And they're going to come out that same game plan. And our guys are going to be prepared for that.
Yeah, being prepared and then
absolutely
stopping it are 2 different things.
I'm okay with it. I'm very cool with it. I'm ready for it.
I'm with you. So there's a couple of things that I think should have Penn State fans feeling optimistic about the chances here on Saturday. Regardless of whether you think it's a galvanizing thing with the whole signal stealing and all of that for Michigan, and now the stories are that other Big Ten schools were doing it to Michigan. We'll see how all of that plays out. It is a distraction. To what degree it is, and whether or not it is a uniting force or not. Here's a couple of things with, to me, looking at it from, trying to be objective. Again, Michigan, to its credit, has crushed everybody this season. But much as we were saying going into the Ohio State game, Penn State hadn't really been tested for 4 quarters. I mean, Michigan has not faced a top 25 team all year and certainly has not been challenged into the 4th quarter where they have to make plays. Now, J.J. McCarthy may have taken the next steps and may be the guy that, in the clutch on 3rd and 20, down 7, puts the ball on the dime, but we don't know that. Until you see it, you don't know, and it's just different when you are an offense and you need to produce in the 4th quarter versus we're running up and down the field and having our way, and we're adding. The question is whether we're going to win by 5 or 6 touchdowns today. Yeah, it's just different, and a lot of these players have the experience of last year. Again, I'm not forecasting disaster here for Michigan, but I think we saw against Maryland lessons learned by Penn State against Ohio State. And I think a lot of that was borne out late in the 4th quarter against Indiana. And I think there has been a subtle shift in just the mentality of the approach that Penn State is taking, offensively in particular, to the game. I think Penn State is a more aggressive team. And I think we did see the improvements that we had been waiting to see. I get it. Where was this against Ohio State? I'm asking the same thing. But that's in the rear view. There's nothing you can do about it now. I do think, and I don't think it's too late to salvage the season. I think you saw Saturday the Penn State coaches kind of acknowledging, you know what, we have to be more aggressive. Up until that game, and I think we talked about it a little bit last week, it feels like Penn State had been taking what defenses were giving it, and I think there's something to be said for that. But I also think there are times, especially if you are going to be a championship contender, Big Ten title contender, playoff contender, that you have to dictate. It doesn't matter what the defense is doing. By God, we're going to get 15 yards downfield because we have tight ends and receivers and a quarterback with a great arm, and they're going to go make plays for us. It doesn't matter if you have us covered. I'm not saying every play do you go for broke. I'm not saying it's a throw caution to the wind and let's wail it around. But I do think, take what the defense gives you, and then periodically, it doesn't matter. We're taking it. You don't have to give us anything. We are going to go out and take it. And I think that is what you saw against Maryland. And again, I get it's the Maryland team that is certainly not in the same class as Michigan right now, talent-wise, and certainly not with the way they're playing football. But I don't think that was about Maryland. I think that was about Penn State figuring out, you know what, we have a 5-star quarterback. He has grown up and matured. Let's trust him. And I don't know for sure if it's the coaches saying, hey, Drew, we trust you, or Drew just saying, you know what, I trust myself now. I trust these guys. I'm going to go make plays. I don't know that it much matters exactly how that dynamic is working. The fact is, for Penn State to get where it wants to be, that's what you have to do. You have to go out. We keep talking about wide receivers and separation. Listen, sometimes you're going to be playing against teams. I don't care how great your receivers are. You're not getting the separation. You got to put the ball on the money, and you have to have a receiver who goes and makes a play for you. And we saw that. And it wasn't just Keandre Lambert-Smith doing it. Yeah. Dante Cephas obviously had a huge game. I think they're recognizing they have, both tight ends are also big-time playmakers. And again, I think Penn State is in a good position. I think they are, to a large degree at the moment, flying under the radar, and I think that is a much more comfortable position for James Franklin and this Penn State program to be in. I don't think they do great as front runners.
I don't think anybody expects us to come out and win this game. I think that you just hit the nail on the head with James.
Across the board, the national picks will be Michigan.
Absolutely.
You might have an outlier here or there, but I mean 90% of the national experts. I have to, just to give Penn State a chance. I have to go Michigan.
Don't tell the secret.
On Thursday. We'll give the official.
We got sign stealers around here. We don't know who's watching this
pick on Thursday. By the way, Did you see the official over-under for Iowa-Rutgers is -3? Have you ever seen a No, that's not actually.
What was it, actually?
I don't know.
Because last week was the lowest ever.
Yeah, what was it? It was like 31,
and 29.5.
And it never got anywhere close.
10-7 final.
Never got anywhere close.
Like, that's insane. That's like when they put the
Iowa Northwestern.
They put a game at like 92 for an over-under, and you're like, there's no way. And by the third quarter, it's like 48-47, and you're like, what in the hell is going on?
It is hard to believe, is it not, that Washington and USC and Iowa and Northwestern were playing the same game? Like that is, I mean, it's not the same brand of the game, not the same version, but those were both Division I college football games on Saturday. And
it's impressive. It's amazing.
Very different games.
Want to hear another stat?
Fire.
Penn State nor Michigan have allowed a point in the third
quarter. Yeah.
Third quarter. That's insane. It's fantastic, actually. Makes for a very boring third quarter, but hey, whatever we're going to do, we're going to do.
No, it's amazing. As far as
you want to talk about do you think that anything's going to happen before Friday? I mean, I'm not here Thursday, so I mean, I'll get my Michigan talk in and out now. So
gotcha. Yeah,
I don't think anything's going to happen this week or in general.
I don't think anything this week. I think something eventually will happen. I don't think it'll be. I don't think they're going to get banned from a bowl game this year or removed from the Big Ten championship game or anything like that. And I do think it's going to be interesting to see what happens, what comes of this, the AP story on the guy who says he was putting together the spreadsheet for a number of Big Ten schools on Michigan. That is interesting. And, I think there was a lot of discussion about that. It's like, man, the Big Ten coaches being as adamant that you got to go after Michigan, and a bunch of national media members were say, are you sure you want to do that as Big Ten coaches? And sure enough, I mean, it's like 2 days later we have the AP story. Now, whether or not I don't know what all's in that story. And as I've been saying this week, Goon, I have no idea whether or not we are talking about 14 Big Ten schools that are doing this, whether it is actually just the one, whether it is like 3 or 4, or whether it is 10 or 11. Do you have any idea how many teams are actually kind of going above and beyond here in terms of the signal stealing and putting either spreadsheets together or having guys going to other games?
My friend Matt Fink he played for Ohio State. He's out in Columbus, and he has been adamantly crazy about this whole Michigan thing.
Yep.
And he was saying that it's somebody from Western Kentucky who played at Michigan, who played for Harbaugh's dad, type of coaches with his dad, took one for the Harbaugh family and said, oh, wow, this. Now, if you think that they have actually a set of their signals and stuff like that they hand to another team, I say no way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't at this high a level, but I just can't imagine that like Minnesota would get a hold of Nebraska and say, hey, here, take this. Whether you know a guy on the staff or not, and say, hey, we have all their call signs, because Nebraska will say, well, what the hell does Minnesota have on us? You know what I mean? It just seems so far-fetched. And a lot of this is just a lot of smoke screen, like, okay, look over here, don't look here, look here. You can't deny that Stallions was not on the Central Michigan sidelines. I mean, the fact that they still have not come out and said that's not, it's just absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah. And
then the other one is Harbaugh's lied in the past multiple times to the NCAA. And he's the same exact MO. He's just like a little boy who gets smacked in his wrist and then just goes and does the exact same thing again.
I think that is what the Big Ten coaches. I think that is what they were likely on the conference call with the commissioner this week. I think that is likely what they are saying. Is listen, there is a chance that Harbaugh runs to the NFL or somewhere else after this season, and there needs to be something that happens to him. Right. I mean, that's my take and my read on why the Big Ten coaches are like, we got to get this together, and this has to move quickly. And I think the coaches are saying, listen, there is overwhelming evidence. I get do the investigation, whatever it is, but once you have, and I think they have it, what you consider to be pretty ironclad proof, then you need to act quickly, and it needs to be effective. Now, what seems to be generally thought of here is the appropriate punishment is removing Harbaugh from the sidelines and making that the punishment. That's, from what I'm reading, that seems to be, I don't know if that's what the coaches were necessarily clamoring for, but that seems to be the consensus that, listen, that would be a good remedy. You're not crushing the players.
Not crushing the players and destroying their season. Because it's not the players. It's not the players. I mean, that's where, I mean, dude, I'm so, like, torn on this right now. Like, I'm torn on, like, Harbaugh is a liar. Yes, he will lie. He will do anything in his power to gain an advantage. Okay, did he do this? I mean, yeah. I'm so sick of people saying, well, everybody does it. Yes, everybody does it. But they're not using technology to go to the week before the game and calling, okay, they just run left. What were the signals there? And they do it all together. They put it on a stat sheet. Bang, you own their signals now. That's cheating. That in itself is cheating. I'm sorry. I don't care. But if me sitting on the sideline next to Jeff Byers and you're calling defenses and I'm like, hey, they just blow 52 personnel in there. Or, hey, they just bought that stud defense, but they're blitzing. They're going to run their,
Yeah.
Or I'm looking at their sign. You can steal their signs on game day. Everybody does it. Everybody tries to do it. It's hard, but everybody tries to do it. Okay, so they can't hide from that. And then Stallions, the CNU thing, I just can't get that out of my head. Why was he there? I mean, and why can't Central Michigan say yes or no, it was him or wasn't him? It just blows my mind.
Yes.
But then the new one was, well, our standard operating procedure was Stallions would sit next to the DC and then the OC. That was the standard operating procedure. If you watch the game this weekend, there was not a person next to either the OC or DC, let alone the same guy. So they completely changed their operation, because the one guy resigned or quit or was fired. Who the hell maybe knows? Because that you can't get an answer on that. It's just. But again, I think that the other Big Ten teams. Again, that's just where I'm torn. I'm leaning forward towards that. Yes, there's definitely cheating going on. He was definitely doing some crazy stuff outside. Those people were at the games and doing this and doing that.
Yeah.
But then they've been doing it for 3 years. You can't tell me that they haven't had one disgruntled football player who would come out and say, hey, yeah, absolutely they were stealing signs. You haven't heard any of that.
Yeah.
None of it. Nobody's come out and been like, oh, my God, absolutely. I mean, there has to be a disgruntled player, a guy who, was promised some playing time and didn't get it, maybe some NIL money, didn't get it. I don't know. You're going to sit there, and no one's come out and said that. So a little bit of me is like, okay, what do the players know? And I watched a film of Stallions making the defensive call before the defensive coordinator, and then the other players start making the same calls, and it's like, what do they know?
Right.
It's just the whole thing is insane. I mean, absolutely insane.
It is.
And it gets weirder and weirder by the day. Again, and Matt Fink is saying that this guy, who came out and said, well, we hand this out amongst the league. I'm like, there's no way in hell somebody from another team is going to say, okay, we have Michigan signals, because they're the opponent team is going to say, well, if you have Michigan's, what do you have on us? And it's just, what's going to happen is it's going to cost about another $1 million to get headsets in the quarterback's heads and the middle linebacker's head, but you have to have how many players can have that headset and who's listening, and then people can chime.
Yep.
Again, when I go back, Jim Harbaugh lost all his goodwill with the Big Ten by lying about his recruiting stuff. And I think that's where they are at right now. Like, your word is nothing right now. You don't have a good word. You did. Sorry. You can't sit there and say, hey, I didn't do this and we have to believe you. I can't do that after what you've done once or twice before now.
Yeah.
Insane. Now, I'm on board with these guys. There's no talk about this Penn State game this week amongst this Michigan stuff. It's all about Ohio State. We're going to kick your butt November 25th. We're going to kick your butt November 25th. We can't wait to see Ohio State. Hey, you got to play us. And this is what you said. This is the perfect time for James Franklin to strike, because no one thinks he's going to do it. Nobody has Nobody thinks that Penn State could beat Michigan.
Well, yeah, and listen, I think with the fact that again, Drew Aller, I think it was huge for him to have the game he had against Maryland, just from a confidence standpoint and an understanding of, okay, you know what, it's not just about not throwing interceptions, right? Like it is. I have some guys that I can
take chances with,
and I can let go make some plays for me. I mean, Dante Cephas, that catch, well, a couple of his catches were phenomenal, but that first one was, I mean, truly unreal. But the thing about Aller, which again we knew he had the ability. I mean, we've seen the different types of throws throughout the season, but to in one game have it where again you fired that ball in there where only Tyler Warren could catch it in a crowd, and I mean as much zip as you're going to see any quarterback put on the ball, and then the touch passes where again you're dropping it absolutely where only Cephas can go make a play on it. The fact that you saw the kind of the full, and again we've seen it throughout the season, but that was as complete a game that Drew Aller had. It was as complete a game as the offense had. And listen, there's still no doubt that there was room for improvement with that offense, right? There were still some dropped passes over the course of the game. Warren, who I don't think had dropped one all season that I can remember, had a couple on Saturday. And I think this offensive line can still get better. I thought it was
better this week, but it still needs improvement.
And listen, I mean, Nicholas Singleton obviously needs to get more yards per carry moving forward. But you saw with the kickoff return the explosiveness and the potential that is still there for the big plays. So the other thing to me, Goon, that from Penn State's perspective that I think you like your chances, and I want to come back to the noon kickoff real quickly, but is special teams. I do think the special teams now across the board, I think Penn State has a viable threat with the punt return. Obviously, they have viable threats with the kickoff return. The kickoff game has been rock solid all year, and the field goal game is in a really solid position. And I don't think many folks coming out of the West Virginia game would have thought they'd be as consistent as they have been there. And the punting has been solid. I mean, Riley Thompson isn't booming at 50 yards a punt, but it's been solid. So that we talk about these big games, right? It's turnovers, it's field position, it is those hidden yards. I think you feel good about Penn State's chances of matching up pretty evenly in all of those. And again, I do think this Penn State team just does better when it is doesn't have the world of expectations placed upon it. And I do think this team obviously is hungry. They're hearing all the talk about they don't win
last year.
Yep, and they don't win big games, and they're angry about the Ohio State game this year, as they ought to be, and all of it. The noon kickoff, good. So, listen, I mean, what good would it do James Franklin, number one, to come out and say, yeah, man, I wish it was a night game. Noon kickoff's going to be tough. We're probably going to have not as loud of a – right, like that. That's not going to be a good look. But here's the thing. Yeah, I do think, much as Penn State has trouble getting going on the road with the early kickoffs, I think the fact that it's an early kickoff and Michigan is on the road and has not really been tested. I mean, they have not been punched in the mouth yet this season. That was the other thing. Penn State getting off to a good start against Maryland finally. I don't know, obviously, what the result is going to be here on Saturday. I will say that Maryland game, when we went into the Maryland game, if you went down the list of things that, boy, it'd be nice if Penn State could do this, that would give you a better feeling going into that Michigan game. More aggressive offensively, check. Drew Aller getting a good road game under his belt, check. Running game being solid, check. Now, would you have liked to have seen an explosive play or two from Singleton in there that you didn't get? Yep. that might be the only non-check there. You need another receiver besides Keandre Lambert-Smith to step up. Check. You need some downfield passes. Check. Use the middle of the field. I think you can still do more there, but yep, check. Did it. So, the other thing that I think has kind of gone quietly under the radar is Abdul Carter's been okay this season. He hasn't made All-American linebackers. You're expecting to be difference makers, making plays. They're finding the ball. They're doing this. Carter's played fine this season, but your eyes, usually great quarterbacks, great running backs, great linebackers, your eyes say, wow, man, did you see what that guy did? You haven't had a lot of that with Abdul Carter this season until Saturday. Saturday, that was the Abdul Carter that can make a difference in a game like Michigan. So again, I think across the board, all the checks that you want to make, and even the penalties, the two drives that Maryland had, the two scoring drives that Maryland had, both aided by penalties, but those penalties were largely aggressiveness penalties. I'm okay with that. I don't want to give up free yards. I don't want to give up free points, but I'd much rather have, we're over aggressive, trying to make a play, trying to block a punt. I'd much rather have that than like you had last year, Penn State just getting pushed all over the field against Michigan. Give me the over aggressiveness versus the under aggressiveness every day of the week when you're talking about football.
I'll tell you right now that the most unhappy man in State College from last year's game was Manny. He is going to be furious.
Yeah,
he has to be furious. He's going to go into this game mad and having these guys ready. Because I'm telling you, if they're not competitors, if they come out there and lay an egg and just go out there and lay down for Michigan, we got some serious issues here.
Yep. We'll take a break here. We are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube. The wing buffet special gets underway at 4 o'clock, so we're less than a half hour away from that opening up. If you are unable to get to the Penn State game here on Saturday, this is a great place to come on down and check out the action. Also a great place after the game to come on down and check out all of the other action going on. And just, again, great food, great service, great beverages, just a great place to come on in and enjoy a college football Saturday, or for that matter, any night of the week, or an NFL Sunday as well. We are back with more on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show here at Quaker Steak and Lube in Meerman.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Haw-Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Haw-Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Haw-Baker.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube on an absolutely picture-perfect day in the Valley of Happiness as we get ready for Penn State, Michigan. Again, a noon kickoff on Saturday at Beaver Stadium. And Nittany Lions, it's the last chance to get the signature victory of the 2023 season. And listen, with a win, Goon, if Penn State does what many are considering almost impossible, others are like, no, I think this is the time. I'm kind of right down the middle. Like, I don't think it's far-fetched to see Penn State winning this game, especially after the way the Nittany Lions played. Katron Allen ran really hard, and those tough yards, I will say getting 2 and 3 yards on a carry in this Michigan game is going to be important. You need to get into those 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 situations or shorter. And stay out of the 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12 situations against this Michigan defense. So, there's a lot of important components for Penn State to stay in the game and to give itself a chance to win it here on Saturday. But again, I think Penn State put itself in as good a position as it could with the performance against Maryland. And I think, they at least come into it now with the right mental frame of mind. And if Penn State, capital I, capital F, as I want to say, Penn State wins this game over Michigan, then what you need is Michigan to beat Ohio State. But listen, that game is in Ann Arbor. If Michigan loses this game, I think it's an extra chip on Michigan's shoulder. Right now, I think there's a little bit of an extra chip on Ohio State's shoulder against Michigan because of what's happened the last 2 years in that game. But if Michigan goes into that Ohio State game with a loss, right, I think the chips kind of wash themselves out. And it sounds like I'm being disrespectful of Ohio State, but watching them again Saturday, all the credit in the world, and I do mean this, Ryan Day and that coaching staff deserve all of the credit. They are winning games, and that's what this sport is all about. That's what any sport is about, finding a way to win. But that is such a beatable team, Goon. I mean, it really is. And I just think Michigan at home is going to win that game. I really do. And even I feel even more strongly about that if Penn State beats Michigan this week. I really do. And yes, part of it is I want that scenario to play out. But part of it is I really do think Ohio State,
yes,
I just think is vulnerable. And I think Michigan is the better team. Head to head. And I get it. I thought Penn State was the better team. I still think that head-to-head, talent-wise, so that at the end of the day, I don't think, again, if Penn State can get the win Saturday, I get you still need help, but I don't think it's any kind of wild scenario you need to play out then for Penn State to find itself in the Big Ten championship game.
Do you think we had a better chance against Ohio State or Michigan? How do you feel? The Tuesday before Ohio State, did you have the feel that?
Oh, I had a much better feeling about Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah, I was. Listen,
I'm completely reversed.
To me, this Michigan game is a toss-up. I like that it's at Beaver Stadium, and I can talk myself into liking that it's a noon game.
Talk yourself into everything.
Yes, but listen, I think Penn State is just a better team than Ohio State. I get the results speak differently, but certainly going into that game, I really did. I'm like, I thought Penn State had the better quarterback. I thought Penn State matched up well along both lines. I thought Ohio State had the edge only because of the superstar at wide receiver, but I thought overall the receiving cores were pretty even, and I thought Penn State going into that game had the better defense. Despite that result, I still believe all of those things. I think Michigan has the edge on both lines of scrimmage. I don't think it's a huge edge, and I'd love to be proven wrong on that. I was proven wrong at least on that day with Penn State, Ohio State. So, but I think Michigan matches up really well, better with Penn State than Ohio State did. And I just think, I think Michigan is a better football team. I think they're a more balanced offense. Now, Ohio State obviously was missing their starting running back against Penn State, so maybe that changes the equation had he been healthy in terms of my thoughts going into that game. But and I think that the defenses are comparable here with Penn State and Michigan.
I just know we don't play well at Ohio State. Never have. It's I don't know what it is. I don't know what the hell it is. We just do not play well at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Michigan has played nobody. And when I say nobody, I think that their scout teams might be better than some of the teams that they have beaten this year. Now, with that said, they are taking teams behind the woodshed and beating the living ever crap out of these teams. So they're doing what they're supposed to do against those lesser teams, which I think that I wish we would do some more, beat teams by 40 and stuff like that. But hey, whatever. I just think
at the end of the day, Penn State has there's been halves.
They've thrown some
certainly at Illinois, at Northwestern, but overall, at the end of the day, Penn State has won the games that it was supposed to win convincingly.
Yeah, they've only not covered
final score-wise convincingly.
2 times they haven't covered. So
Ohio State and Indiana.
So that was a little low, but I mean, I just can't get through my past that they have not played anybody. We have played Ohio State. We have one big game on about. Okay, that's fine. I got you. They have so much going on in their world right now that it is very easy for them to be overlooking this because they did run on us for 423. They treat us like they do Sparty. It's just like, hey, whatever, it's just another game to them. It's not Ohio State, so they're not going to be completely wired up and juiced up, and we need to go out there and take it to them. I mean, physically take it to them from start to finish, and I like our chances. I really do. I do. And that's not – I'm a homer. I am a homer, but I really do until Michigan can prove me wrong, that they can get through all this stuff that's going on in their backyard, having not played anybody yet as of yet. And then, it's a noon game for them also on the road.
Yeah, for me, it's the opposite, only in that I need to see it from Penn State, the physicality for 4 quarters against Michigan. And
that's a hell of a point. You're right.
I just need to see it. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not predicting either way, but I can't go into this game saying that I definitively know Penn State.
Offensively,
man, they're going to either side.
Defensively, I thought they played really well against Ohio State.
No, against Michigan, I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm saying
Michigan pounded the football right up the gut.
Last year. Yeah.
I need to see it
this year. So
I need to see
Penn State
it.
Come out and defend against that. And then I think that our defense has a chip on their shoulder because of this. Because of that, excuse me. So
I think it needs to have a chip on its shoulder.
And we're going to be I think the national pundits are not one person's going to pick Penn State, but I have that feeling. And I'll probably come on here next Tuesday and say, I really can't believe what I thought we were going to beat that team.
Well, I mean, we had that feeling going into Ohio State, too. I mean, we were
telling you, I had a little bit of my heart saying, okay, we don't play well there. I think that we don't match up. We match up at home.
I think we were both all over. I thought we were both all over Penn State that week. That it's like, hey, this is the year where Penn State just doesn't.
With you. But if you go ahead, how I feel against Ohio State versus how I feel against Michigan, I have a better feeling about the Michigan game.
Yeah, going in, I had a much better feeling against Ohio State.
That's just we don't play
Again,
well
to
there.
me,
We never do.
Yeah, but I just thought Penn State had the clear advantage in that game. I don't know that there's anywhere that I say Penn State has a clear advantage. I think, again, to me, this feels like a very even matchup. With the possible exception of the physicality component, and again, until I see it now with Penn State, with the offensive and the defensive line, and in particular the interior of those lines for 4 quarters. It's one thing to be there through 2 quarters. It's in the 4th quarter is Michigan running the ball, getting 5-6 yards a clip right up the gut, and winning the game when it's when they need to. And I can certainly see that scenario playing out. Because I've seen it. I've seen it before.
A lot.
But yes, but does it feel like Penn State is better positioned to challenge that? Yes, it does going in. But the counter to that, though, too, Goon, is I also think this is I think Michigan is better set up with its passing game than I can remember, to be honest with you. Now, I like Penn State's secondary. I like the pass rush. But again, when you are able to, I keep talking about it. Penn State, if they can get the offense clicking, and I think we saw it last week, right? They can beat you so many different ways. Well, it's the same thing with Michigan's offense. And these are 2 great defenses. But the difference here, to me, going into the game is you have a veteran quarterback for Michigan who has done it and is clearly playing his best football. Now, Drew Aller has played very well at home and is coming off by far his best performance on the road this season. So, again, going into the Ohio State-Penn State game, I thought Penn State clearly had the advantage at quarterback. Ohio State, McCord clearly that day far outplayed Aller. Going into this game, I think Michigan has the advantage at quarterback, primarily because of the experience, not necessarily the talent. But could I see Drew Aller outplaying J.J. McCarthy on Saturday statistically? Yeah.
Sure.
I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility by any stretch. I do think it feels like a pretty even matchup to me. I think Penn State is going to have to create some opportunities for itself. Penn State is going to have to, I think, unlike that 2016 team, the time of possession I do think is important for this year's Penn State team. I think you need to keep that defense fresh to be able to keep the pressure on McCarthy and to keep the defensive line holding, hopefully at least steady against that offensive line and the running game of Michigan, so that when you get to the 4th quarter, it's not a defense that's worn down and feels like Michigan can get 3 or 4 yards anytime it wants. But again, how this game plays out, honestly, Goon, you can kind of play it through in your mind 10 different times, and I think come up with 10 different scenarios for how it plays out. Penn State needs to make plays the way it did against Maryland on Saturday. It needs to do that consistently against a big-time Michigan defense. You can't leave first down completions on the field. You can't have the overthrows. You can't have the dropped balls. You can't have the careless penalties, right? And you need to take advantage of any of those opportunities the other way. I don't know. To me, again, it largely feels like a toss-up game. I know Michigan is favored by 5, and I think, that means on a neutral field, they feel like Michigan would win by more than a touchdown. And I don't think that's an unreasonable take for anybody to have, looking at the results of these 2 teams and results in particular over the last 2.5 seasons plus now in these big games. But I don't think it's a far-fetched scenario where Penn State is very much in this thing and has a chance to pull it out in the 4th quarter. And I do think that's a spot where, maybe being at home, having the confidence that this offense now carries. Obviously, the defense has a ton of confidence, and I think, again, Some of its star players are starting to play at a very high level and are being difference makers, and you have a lot of different guys, I think, on the defensive side that can come up with big plays in the clutch. I think it's a fascinating game. I really do. I think it's one of the more intriguing Big Ten matchups certainly we're going to have this season, just because, again, I think there's a bunch of different ways it could play out. And in both teams' cases, like I don't think falling behind 14-0 is the end of the world for either of these teams, right? I mean, I know nobody wants to get behind by more than a score, but do I think Michigan could fall behind 14-0 at Beaver Stadium and still come back and win? Well, yeah. With J.J. McCarthy and with that running game, yeah, over 3 quarters, do I think? Of course. Penn State, if they fall behind 14-0, well, we've seen Penn State fall behind and come back and take control of games. And yes, with their ability now to beat you a bunch of different ways, punt return, good drives offensively, Drew Aller with his arm, defensive turnovers. Yeah, neither of these teams are going to be out of it. And I think, they make those computer projections. I think you could play this game 100 different times and have 100 completely different results in terms of how the game plays out. I think both teams go into the game wanting to run the ball better than their opponent, right? They thinking we've got to get some the tough yards at the line of scrimmage. And I think both teams have reason to believe that they could be the team that does that on Saturday. Both teams, I think, go in thinking they need to win the turnover battle. Both teams are certainly capable of doing that on Saturday. And you go, right down the list. You can go position by position, area of the game.
I'll come back to you every time, and I say, who has Michigan played to have to worry about? And that's the biggest thing. That's what I think that we have in our corner. Like Ohio State had over us. Ohio State had played a big game against Notre Dame earlier in the year. They had that big game underneath their belt. I mean, we have that game. Michigan still has not. They have not played anybody.
And again, some of it is, we talk about this too, Goon. Some of it is when you play a team, whether it's injury or just, there's ups and downs through every team's season. I mean, there are games where you're playing better than other games, and it can be for a wide variety of reasons. I mean, injuries is one of them, but it can just be, for whatever reason, just an off day. It can be, the game plan that we thought would work, that was not the right game plan in this particular case. Whatever it may be.
I know what Michigan's game plan is. We're going to hand the ball off and run it down your throat every play like we did just like last year. And we need to know they're going in. We know they're going in.
Except that I don't think you can get too caught up in that, because J.J. McCarthy will pick you up. If Penn State goes in saying, "Yep, all we have to do is stop the run," they are going to get crushed, and it's going to be J.J. McCarthy throwing for 300
plus
yards.
We're going to kill this team. That's where I'm at. Michigan mentally.
See, I think they're going to come in.
We own this team.
Yeah, I mean, yes, to a degree, but I also think they think, listen, we have J.J. McCarthy now. We have a balanced offense. We'll keep Penn State on its heels. This defense that likes to get after it, they're not going to know where we're hitting you from next. And, yes, if they're expecting the run, look out. We're going to play action you and pick up all kinds of yards downfield. And when you make the adjustment to that, here comes the bludgeoning.
So before you go, Jeffrey, and I don't have no one has mentioned this, but 2 years ago, the last one they played here, we were up late 10. We were winning by 10 in the fourth quarter. Remember?
Oh yeah.
And then we ran a blitz to our defensive right, and they slipped out a screen to the offensive right. Make sure in the tight end jack across the middle, and there was nobody on his side of the field, and he ran 75 yards.
Yeah,
untouched down the sideline. I can't get past my head saying, "Do you think that they knew that was coming?" I can't get it out of my head. It's just like the Brian Dawkins with the Eagles after the Super Bowl versus the Patriots.
Yeah.
We blitzed right, they threw left. We blitzed left, they threw right.
Yeah.
It was every time. And I'm watching that game. I'm remembering that game. I remember watching it, and I'm saying, wow, that was a perfect call versus that blitz right there. I remember watching it. I was like, wow, we just lost the game on a perfect call.
Yeah.
I will I'll leave you with that, Jeffrey. So you get in your car now, and be like, "What the hell?"
It does leave you.
You won't bring that up, Bruce. You won't bring that up.
It does leave you wondering at the very least. A couple of quick things before I bolt out of here, dear Goon.
I'll see you next week, man.
The Steelers did what they had to do, got the big W against the Titans, and they're sitting well. Although I will say the Ravens and Bengals are both playing at an exceptionally high level of football right now. And it's not like the Browns are playing poorly either. That AFC North is what we thought it would be, and then some. Football is a game of inches. How many times do we say it? Has it ever been on better display than the Eagles and the Cowboys on Sunday? But what a huge win for the Eagles to get two going into their bye week and feeling very good about things as they should. I will say there are too many grand proclamations being made. Again, we are at about the midway point of the NFL season. Again, the Ravens and Bengals now look great. Eagles look great. 49ers don't look as great. All of this can
change in 4 weeks.
Yes.
4 weeks ago, I was saying the San Francisco 49ers are the best team in the NFL.
It's not completely irrelevant, but it's almost irrelevant. It is the teams that are healthy and that get on a roll here at the end of the season and going into the playoffs. All of this stuff right now is just kind of jockeying, working things out. I think that for the Eagles, the good news is I still don't think they're playing anywhere near their optimal level of football. I really don't, and they're sitting there at 8-1, best record in the league. But I think that is part of why they have to be feeling really good. Is it's like, I don't think anybody in that locker room is like, man, we're playing our best football, right? They're all like, we're we're still a work in progress. Well, if you can be a work in progress sitting at 8-1, you take that every day of the week. Two other just quick things. Penn State hockey. Those were two of the best hockey games you're going to see in college hockey. I mean, both teams just playing fantastic hockey, really entertaining hockey, really good goaltending. Notre Dame gets the win in the shootout in the first game Saturday. Penn State comes back and rallies to tie the game and then wins it in the shootout. So both schools get out of there with 3 points on the weekend. But just that is good for college hockey.
Sure was.
Having two name schools, two brands like Penn State and Notre Dame go out and provide that type of entertainment.
For those listening, go watching on Facebook, go to the Goon Ironhead show. Guy Godowski was on the show last night.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
Just talking, because it was the first time ever watching a hockey game, and it was like a young guy talking to the coach, like, wow, it's unbelievable. I can't believe what I saw watching it live. And then you have me and Guy. I've known Guy for 12 years. So great show last night. But I was at the game Sunday, and your tickets fell through, so I apologize.
No worries. It was good,
unbelievable. I had the Eagles on over here. I'm watching Penn State play. Did you watch the game?
I watched most of Saturday's game. I listened to most of Sunday's game.
Well, Sunday's game, they said the defense, the goalie's helmet came off. And then you were watching the replay, and you're like, he still has his helmet on, the puck's in the net, but he was already pulling it off. And the referee's saying no goal. And it was like, the guy's like, you can't even like go watch a replay on that. And I was like, geez, you need to fix that freaking rule.
Yeah.
See a puck up behind you, just go to your helmet, throw it off. But it was
what
awesome.
you can
awesome.
and can't do is
the guy was so
amazing.
Happy with how the guys played, but he's so the fan support has been great there.
Oh yeah,
just been absolutely great, top to bottom.
And Mike Rhodes, with the greatest winning percentage in Penn State basketball history,
undefeated,
has never lost a game. Good win. I get it. I mean, I don't know how much you've really learned about what Penn State has this season, but again, dominate the teams you're supposed to dominate. They did that. It was a good start. I think it was a fun night for Penn State basketball, and exactly, again, what you're wanting to do and build with these first 3 or 4
I love the little
games.
formulation they have there with Crispin running the offense and then Rhodes calling the defensive plays, because they're very high energy offense, obviously with Crispin, you know that. And then, you have Rhodes is calling the defense and playing defense. These guys are that's a double-edged sword right there.
Well, and I will say, Mike Rhodes feels like such a good fit for Penn State. I mean, he is obviously genuinely thrilled to be the head coach of Penn State, and that is a big deal for this Penn State program. And I think he is clearly a player's coach, but I also think he is a guy that knows the game, understands the game, and is building very quickly the right recipe here. Now, again, the Big Ten is loaded. I don't know, obviously, at all where Penn State fits in the overall picture this year, but I do think this is going to be a fun team to watch. I think they bring a lot of different elements to the table. And it just feels like this is the beginning of something that actually could be sustainable here for Penn State, where it's not just once in a decade that you might get to the NCAA tournament. Yep. This feels like they're building to something that,
great
3, maybe even 4
Absolutely
times out of
fantastic.
every 5 years, you can at least be in the thick of the race to get an NCAA tournament bid. And I think, again, that is not insignificant. And I do think this is just going to be a fun winter sports season for Penn State fans. I really think if the Penn State wrestling team stays healthy, this could be a top 20 program, Goon. I think if they stay healthy, keep your eye on them. They could end up with a winning record this year.
They ranked number 1. I couldn't believe it. I was like, geez, what are they thinking? Wow.
Are they number 1? I didn't even notice that. We will take a break here. When we come back, a much better version of me, Chris Buchanani, will be on this side of the Dear Goon, and we'll take you home for the remainder of the program until 5 o'clock. And the Dear Goon is off on Thursday, so we'll make another lineup change on Thursday. And again, Goon and Booch will be back after this brief time.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steaks Triple Atomic Wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. As Ironhead teased before the break, I am pinch hitting for the Ironhead. This is Chris Buchanani from the obligatory PSU pregame show and podcast, joined now back on the program by former Penn State offensive lineman Keith Goon Conlin.
As fast as I used to be, Buchy.
It's all right. You're back from the pit stop in plenty of time. We want to welcome everybody in listening to us live on the radio on 98.7 FM, the Fox. That's WFXS, Pine Grove State College. Or if you're tuning in online, you can get that on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show official Facebook page, or on YouTube, or on my Twitter account. I like to share it with the folks out there. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Goon, not just Quaker Steak and Lube, which is a great place to come out and enjoy the all-you-can-eat wing buffet every Tuesday, starting at the 4 o'clock hour. So that is open and available.
You kicked that off, Booch.
I did. I was starving Marvin.
I could tell.
So if you are out there and you are looking for some great wings and a chance to watch sports, enjoy some great adult bets, come on out here. Yeah, you can enjoy the Maction here at the Lube and treat yourself to some all-you-can-eat wings. So thanks so much to Quaker Steak and Lube for hosting the show. Thanks to Lion Country Kia for being the presenting sponsor. Thanks so much to Sioka Toyota of Williamsport, another longtime supporter of the show. And there is a lot going on here in Happy Valley, Goon. I'm excited to talk to you about it because despite the last few weeks feeling like something of a funeral dirge here for the Penn State football program.
Well, you and I had a double.
We got a chance.
No, but you and I had a double. The Phillies lose 3 days after the Penn State.
It meant nothing to me. I was so devastated after that Penn State loss that I called it my despondency saturation point. I could not be any more depressed about sports than I was following the Ohio State loss.
I mean,
so
you
I felt
me
nothing
and Ironhead talking. You went out there. I definitely had that feel that we had a chance out there, the best chance we've had in a long time. But history says we don't play well there. We never have.
2 wins in the Big Ten era. I heard you guys talking on the way in. Yep.
31st year, we have 2 wins out there.
Yeah, all right. So let's wind it back a little bit.
No.
Obviously, the majority of the talk is going to be about the Penn State-Michigan game, as it should be.
Ooh, baby.
I think going into the season, you looked at the schedule, and the understanding was this is the best, deepest, most talented team James Franklin has had since he has been here. The hype is off the charts because of the Rose Bowl victory and the way last season went and what we were bringing back and what we had in Drew Aller. And so you looked at the schedule and you said, all right, anything worse than 11-1 is going to be a disappointment with this team. And you felt that despite the history you just talked about in the horseshoe, talent-wise, you felt like the more gettable win of the 2 big games was going to be Ohio State.
Yeah, because Ohio State feels down to us this year.
Right. That's what I – and
it's
they
pretty
look,
down
and
here,
they
and they're still ranked number 1 in the country.
Yeah, well, it's something of a function of
we'll know in the next 3 weeks in the schedule.
What the Big Ten is this year, man. Like, they got that win against Notre Dame when – the Fighting Irish put 10 guys on the field for the last 2 snaps.
We're going to run it right there. I would too. I mean, you're a missing D tackle.
And then, look, all 3 of the top teams in the Big Ten East have had to contend with the fact that your conference schedule is by and large, a formality.
Caca.
Right. And so you're not going to get a lot of
3
credit.
in the East, right? Maryland, Rutgers, Indiana. That's what we all play.
And Michigan State.
So there's
all garbage. All garbage.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Four bad teams beyond the top 3 in the division, and then the Big Ten West is a joke. So you're not going to get a lot of credit for winning most weeks in the Big Ten. Ohio State is number 1, largely by virtue of that win against Notre Dame and then the
Absolutely.
win against Penn State, because you look at who are the other top teams in the country.
They're not playing anybody.
Georgia
either.
hasn't played anybody. Michigan hasn't played anybody. And there's Alabama hanging around, creeping up.
And the SEC has them voted just high enough that if Ole Miss beats them, that's really good for Ole Miss.
And we go back, and even Florida State, who is undefeated, and I think I probably like Florida State a little bit better than a lot of folks.
But they don't have anybody left. That's like Miami crapping the bed the last few weeks has hurt Florida State.
But Florida State is still coasting off the fumes of knocking off LSU early.
Yeah.
And again,
they play nobody else.
Not a lot of challenge on that ACC schedule, but that's what you have to do. You got to put your marker down early if you play in one of those joker conferences, just like Ohio State did against Notre Dame. You get that one data point that allows people to go back and say, well, look, yeah, sure, they struggled against Boston College, but they beat LSU. That's what Florida State needs, that as long as they keep winning, they're going to be one of the 4 playoff
Alabama
teams.
lose to Texas. That's their loss.
They did. Yep.
And that's not even the SEC yet, right? That was just
correct.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So
but
Alabama is
the SEC voters have it right? You know that. They vote their people just high enough to keep them relevant. So if there is an upset in this and that, then one of their teams will slip in. They know exactly
what's
what they're
going
doing.
on. There's no
and they have
question
made a joke out of these conference schedules and doing this and that for decades. And I think the Big Ten is finally realizing that in the last years. What are they going to do? They're going to change the schedule up now. They're changing the playoff schedule up. So, honest to God, Booch, are we having this conversation this time next year about getting into the college football playoffs? Because we have to win this week. Michigan has to lose to Ohio State, and our non-conference teams from the West have to play better. We're in the lead right there. Think about it. This time next year, we're really not having this issue. I guess we would be, because we are teetering from 10 to 12. So
look. Let's just qualify it.
Next year, you're playing to be in the top 12. You're not playing to be in the top 4.
Right. Next year, you're going to have more margin of error, but you are also going to have a more challenging schedule
at the end. Are they dropping any Big Ten games?
No.
So they're going to play a Big Ten title game too. So
Correct. Yeah, but I mean, look. Next year, Penn State has probably one of the most treacherous 5-game stretches played out over 6 weeks that anybody in the history of the sport has played. Even if you go all the way back to the days when Penn State, Miami, and Florida State, and Notre Dame were all independents and they were scheduling tough schedule. You go back and you look at like the year we won the national championship in 1982. We're playing Nebraska and Alabama and Notre Dame and
we're the only team ever to play ranked teams every week.
Next year, that 5-game stretch where you got UCLA, USC, Washington, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. That's as tough as anyone has ever had it in 5 consecutive games in college football. So that's to get into next year.
I wouldn't say that because it's a 6 week. You got 5 weeks. You got a bye week in between. So, just my opinion.
I think if you look, I can't say this authoritatively. I'm looking at this for a column coming up later. But if you just look at what we can tell about those teams just in terms of the historical pedigree, like in college football, the historically strong teams win way more than those that aren't. Agreed?
Yes.
I don't know that if you look at where the games are being played and when they are being played in terms of one after another, you're going to be hard pressed to find as challenging a stretch in a regular season schedule in the history of college football. Now, of course, you get into the postseason and you're playing a conference championship game, and then maybe you're playing playoff games. That's different. I'm talking about scheduled. Yeah. So that's
so you don't think
a different
else
problem
in the Big
for
Ten
a different day. We got a top 10 matchup.
You don't think anybody else in the Big Ten has that issue next year? With 18 teams in there and 6 of them being in the top 10 right now.
Maybe not next year, but it's going to happen more and more because the whole dynamic of the sport is changing. We're talking about an 18-team conference that 9 of the teams are pretty good brands. Nebraska's down a little bit. Michigan State is having a tough year, but they've been a playoff team within the last decade.
Oh, man.
And those 2 are probably out of the top 9 in the 18-team conference. those two are probably the programs that are the most down. And Nebraska's one of 9 teams that has 900 plus program wins.
By the way, Washington is the end of that next year, I believe. November 9th, because I know it's my birthday.
Yeah, I didn't say them in order, but
okay, all right. Because I'm sitting there and I was like, wait, what?
No, I think
we're
it's
talking about Wisconsin.
I think it's home to UCLA, then at USC, then a bye week, then I want to say at Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Washington. I think that's the Ohio State and Washington both being back-to-back home games. But that's a tough stretch, man. That is challenging as you're going to get. But as I said, different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, it is.
We got a top 10 matchup in Beaver Stadium this Saturday. Want to welcome in everybody listening to us locally here in State College on 98.7 The Fox. This is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Chris Bucanani filling in for Jeff Ironhead Byers. We're live
we're a little slow on the
State
camera
College's Quaker Steak and Lube. And we want to remind you can listen to the Goon and Ironhead show every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 to 5 p.m. or tune in live on the internet at the Goon and Ironhead show Facebook page.
A lot of hours between me and you with podcasting anymore, right?
I am having
Jesus.
These big game weeks are super long for me, for sure. But I love it. I'm blessed. Very
I was sitting there
grateful
this
to be
morning
able
and
to
I was
talk
like,
about Penn State football for a living.
Sort of a little tired because I've been running around a little bit, and I'm like, God, it's only Tuesday.
I feel like you and I are both throwing 16, big tailgates on Saturday morning too.
Yeah, mine starts Thursday.
So, Goon, I got a lot I want to talk to you about. Here's the first thing I want to throw out to you.
Ooh, baby. Let's go.
So, God bless him. James Franklin says in his press conference on Monday, they're Monday now, James says that he thinks the atmosphere in Beaver Stadium is going to be better for a noon game because everybody's going to be awake and jazzed up than it would be at nighttime when people start to get a little sleepy.
Yeah, I started the show today, and I was laughing. I was like, ugh. I did love the internet, how the internet is still funny to me. Somebody actually said on Facebook, they're like, does he want us to do cocaine? I mean, what's going on here? What's he asking? What's he asking of us? I mean, yeah, it's going to be a little down, but it's Michigan, though. So, like I said to Jeff, I said, I don't know what to think. It's like 25,000 students are in there. I mean, are they going to be there? They're the ones who carry the day.
Yes.
Do you think they're going to be in there from play one?
Here's the thing.
I'm asking you. You really think that?
There was so much overreaction, in my opinion.
To the Indiana game?
To the students not showing up for the noon Indiana game.
I got one worse for you. Wait till next week.
Well, let's worry about next week.
No. If we win or lose, kids are off starting next Friday. We got a home game, and then they have the next week off. So why would they stay for Rutgers? I'm just saying.
Let's worry about attendance at the Rutgers game next week.
I'm just saying. I mean, and people worry about the Indiana game because, I mean, that was definitely a hangover from the.
What are you doing? We got Michigan coming in here this weekend. Did you want to talk about are the students going to attend the Rutgers game?
If you were upset about the Indiana guests or students, you're going to be even more mad about the Rutgers win or lose or draw. I don't think we're going to have 10,000 in there.
Well, you're kind of making my point for me, which is
do you think they're going to be there at noon?
Yeah,
ready to go, ready to rock.
If you were going to use light student turnout following one of the most devastating, disappointing losses of the last 10 years on a cold noon October day where we are playing one of the worst teams in college football as proof positive that they will not then show up for number 9 Penn State versus number 3 Michigan, you're off your rocker. And what's my counterpoint to that argument? We played Delaware. I'm in Delaware, the Blue Hens at noon, and that place was packed to the gills.
I'm just saying.
It's about the hype.
See, I take care of the team. You take care of the fans.
I promise you, the kids are going to be there, and they are going to be ready to go.
I'm just telling you, I can tell you the team's focus. You can tell me the fans' focus. You think they're going to be rocking and rolling, sold out.
I've been coming to Penn State football games, as you have, since I was a wee one.
I haven't gone to a game.
And I have been listening to older fans, my uncle who used to bring me to games, complaining about the kids not showing up.
They're kids.
That is a tale as old as time. Yeah, college kids are not going to get up for noon kickoff when you're playing a janky opponent. Like, sorry, that's just not going to happen.
We're here in Delaware, you just said.
When that's what
we were winning.
And the weather was nice. There were some mitigating factors. My point is, when the hype is there, the kids will show up. Can you rely on them to be there for every single noon kickoff? You're like, no, probably not. But here's the other point to make about this, and then we'll move on from this topic.
No, that's all right.
All over the country, programs, very good, successful programs, top 25 teams are struggling with attendance. So Penn State has been one of the few teams around the country that has bucked the national trend and actually slightly improved its attendance numbers from year to year over the last few seasons. So to whatever extent there might be a little, leakage in the periphery that we're not filling Beaver Stadium every single game. Like, trust me when I say we are still well ahead of the curve. If Alabama can't get its kids to fill the stands in the student section for 7 home games a year, which they can't,
spoiled.
Then, nobody else in the country should be too worried if they don't do it 7 times.
They're just like you in the late 90s, Booch. Yeah, you were. No,
I know this.
Just
I thought you were talking about the fact that I grew up. I thought,
there was
2 national championships, like undefeated 94 team.
But when I came back in 05, there was definitely a major league kick up of the attitude of the fans.
Oh, no question.
The 3 out of 4 losing seasons will do that to you. They will make you hungry.
And it'll make you appreciate
my whole career in the
had,
90s
was
just
took
like
for granted.
They took it for granted.
Yeah.
Just the way Alabama fans are doing it right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. We're not going to beat this team. I'm like, God, it's Ole Miss. We beat Ole Miss all the time. It's like, no, you're going to play Ole Miss. They're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling you, Booch, you don't want to hear it. I started it earlier. They've played nobody. There's a lot of hubbub going on. No one's talking about this Penn State game that Michigan has. I'm telling you, I feel more. I told Jeff, I said, you heard me at the show last night. We just don't play well at Ohio State. And I was just like, I was very big on Penn State in that game because I think that Ohio State was down and we were going to take it, but it didn't happen. But
all right, so the question
going into this week right now, I am more comfortable in this game than I probably was than I was against Ohio State, and that's crazy because I was really all in against Ohio State. Did I buy it? I probably just drank the potion again, is what I do. You know me. I'm the ultimate homer, and there's no doubt in my mind. But I'm telling you, I talked to these kids last night, and you can hear it in their voices, dude. You listen. You were there. They were embarrassed by 423 yards rushing on them.
Yep,
embarrassed. And you cannot tell me that Manny Diaz is not embarrassed about what happened last year, and he doesn't want to hang a donut on Jimmy Harbaugh. And the fact that no one is expecting this to come out of Penn State plays right into James's hands.
And he doesn't want this team, none of these guys, no one in that building wants this team and this amount of talent to go down as just another disappointment. And this is their last shot at it. At least in the Ohio State game, you always had the break glass in case of emergency option that if we lose this one, we can still look towards Michigan at home. Well, there's no more chances after this one.
Remember
it
2016?
Is truly now or never.
In the freezing parking lots, watching the Michigan-Ohio State game in the parking lot, remember?
Well, you were in the parking lot. I was in the stadium.
You went in even with that game going on?
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was actually very, very cool because you were in Beaver Stadium, and good luck to whoever it was who was able to get signal on their phone. It wasn't me, but there were some people who were able to be tracking the game as it was going on.
Yeah.
And as it went final, this murmur started to go through the stadium.
Awesome.
And I actually heard an interview with Mike Gesicki afterwards where he said they knew on the sideline because they started hearing people cheering and they were, it was like a TV timeout or something. And some of the guys on the sideline were like, what's going on? What's everybody reacting to? And he starts elbowing, McSorley or Barkley or somebody. He's like, this is it. They know. We got to win and we're in.
All right.
So we're going to hop to a break. On the other side, we are going to hop to a break. We're going to talk about the question, did we or did we not maybe psych ourselves out to put too much emphasis on the Ohio State game when perhaps this is the one where the focus should have been? Conveniently, this is the one that's ahead of us. So that's my thesis. You'll hear our discussion of it on the other side. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show live from State College's Quaker Steak and Lube on 98.7 The Fox. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Your hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show, coming to you live from State College's Quaker Steak and Lube, where right now we are into the 4 o'clock hour, and that means every Tuesday's all-you-can-eat wing buffet is open and available. Come on out and join us. Kick back with a brew and some action and some all-you-can-eat wings. What better Tuesday could you ask for? Chris Bucanani filling in for Jeff, the Ironhead Byers, here with Keith Goon Conlin.
A lot of
Goon.
Yo.
All right. So we talked about it a little bit before the break.
Okay.
You looked at it and you thought, okay, Ohio State breaking in a new quarterback who we thought coming into the season would maybe not be up to the standard of the last few who came before. And so far, I think that's fair to say. Right, Kyle McCord does not look like a Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud type college quarterback.
Nope.
You thought,
nor is their defense a normal
defense
Ohio State defense.
Yeah. This is a gettable game, and Penn State has built its team to be able to match up with Ohio State.
Gettable Ohio State games we've had in a decade.
On the other hand, you watched Michigan blow our doors off in Ann Arbor last year. And they were considered to be one of the best teams coming into the 2023 season. So in the preseason, you looked at this schedule and you said, okay, we got to get at least one. We got to take the next step. Penn State's got to do something that it has not done under James Franklin, which is finish a regular season with one or fewer losses. We love to trumpet 11, 12 win seasons. Like, great, awesome. I'm not turning my nose up at that, and I never will. But let's be honest about the fact that through most of the sports history, the regular season has been 10 or 11 games.
Yes.
Back in the day, you had an 11-win season. That meant you went undefeated. Maybe you won the whole thing.
Are we griping right now?
I am not griping.
No, you want me to gripe?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's complete BS that they start counting quarterback wins in a 12-game schedule when they have a playoff game, a bowl game, and listen, they didn't count bowl games. We didn't have a championship game.
Yep.
They didn't have a college football playoff game. So they have all these records that are being broken, and you're like, let's just say Trace McSorley is the most winning quarter, or Tron Clifford's the most winning quarterback in Penn State history. Played 7 years.
Right.
And he played 12 games a year, and they included bowl games.
Lies, damned lies.
It's just like
no doubt.
It's not the same. It's apples to oranges, in my opinion. Some of the times what they're doing right now. So the problem
I'm with you on that. Again, let's just to be clear. I'm not trying to tear it down. I'm not trying to tear down the accomplishment of Penn State having 11-win seasons. It's great, but the reality is, if you want to take the next step, you want to be in the playoff conversation. It's about what you do in the regular season. And one thing we have not done in the last decade is get through the regular season. I mean, more than that, but since James has been here, get through the regular season with only one loss. And in order to do that, you got to beat Ohio State or Michigan. We looked at the schedule, and as I just said, matchup-wise, talent-wise, you thought Ohio State's the more gettable of the two.
Okay, so let's go back. Frank Solich and Bo Pelini were both let go by Nebraska.
After a 9-win season.
After 9 and 10, they were averaging 9-10 wins a year. Yep. Okay. That was an 11-game schedule. So now if we're saying, James has a 10, 11-game wins every year, then a 13 or 12-game schedule. So it's a little bit more. That's where I'm at with a little slant. But the Ohio State thing, yes, they were 100% gettable this year. 100%.
But on the other hand,
we play well there.
Poorly in the
so bad.
And they play very, very well there, and just very well in general.
Hey, we play well at home.
I'm not going to quote you all the stats. But suffice to say, since Penn State has come into the conference in 1993, the gap between Ohio State and all the other teams of the Big Ten in every metric that matters, conference titles, total wins, head-to-head matchups, there is just no program in the last quarter century that has played at the level of consistency in terms of results on the field in the Big Ten as Ohio State. They are, as much as I hate to say it, they're the standard.
They are the New England Patriots of the Big Ten.
Right. So then you look at it and you say, okay, let's just forget about what happened versus Michigan last season. Let's forget about the preseason hype. We know Penn State plays well at home. We know that James Franklin and Penn State in general have both had more success versus Michigan than Ohio State, which is still not to say a whole heck of a lot, but definitely more.
They're 3-3 the last 6 years.
Exactly.
How many were cheating? What?
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
What?
But did we maybe just pick the wrong game to fixate on?
No, we were just ready. We were just ready for that game.
When we lost that Ohio State game,
because
we just threw in the towel. I did that. I wrote this entire season off.
I'll be Jeff Ironhead Byers, and he goes, and even on week 4, 5, 6, he kept on saying, "I will wait to hold out my assertion until I see them play Ohio State and Michigan." That's how that was his feel for how he was going to feel about this year's team, with how we match up or how we play against Ohio State and Michigan. And we're 0-1 right now because we did not play well there at Ohio State a couple weeks ago. But we were within a score. I know it was a late touchdown. I know it was a late.
Don't give me that, please.
Oh, I know, but our defense kept us in that game.
Yes, correct.
Absolutely kept us in that game.
You just don't quote me, it was an 8-point game. Like, if you got to hang your hat on a garbage time touchdown after you didn't convert a single third down, get out of here.
Nope. No, none of that. None of that. I'm just saying that our defense kept us in that game, that we were still playing in the fourth quarter when we had no right with the way our offense was playing to be in that game.
And we coached, unfortunately, and played, unfortunately, in the way we have too many times in that game, which is scared. It was crazy to go for it in our own territory with 7 minutes left on the clock and basically hang the entire game, which had been just a war of attrition slugfest up to that point, on 1 4th down. That was a really bad call, and to me it felt like a plain scared call. I don't know why you don't just punt the ball and let your defense keep doing what it's doing. I'm not saying we would have won. We wouldn't have won, in my opinion. We couldn't do anything against them on offense. But to send that message both to the opponent and to your own guys that we are so lacking in confidence in our ability to gut out the remaining 7 minutes of this game that we're just going to take a 4th and 4 and let that decide the whole football game with so much on the line. I thought that was a bad call, and maybe the folks inside the Lash building learned something from that. And when they go into this game, they're going to believe well, foolishly perhaps, but a fool's belief has gotten a lot of folks through tougher situations than Penn State will face on Saturday, that they belong on the field with the team. And that is not how they acted in Columbus.
You're preaching to the choir right now, buddy. I mean, the way we're coming out in this game, how we expect it to play in this game is how I expect it to play against Ohio State, and I just don't see it. And I don't know.
So let's talk about this.
I have the feeling. That's what I had. I had that feeling. I had the feeling that Michigan, it's not even in their – this game is not really even in their crosshairs right now.
They do not care at all.
About this game? None. No. It's almost a disrespect.
It's not almost. It's 100% a disrespect. Remember after we beat Pitt, 51-6 or whatever it was, and James said it was just like playing Akron.
That's the way Ohio State is.
That is what Michigan is thinking right now. This is just like playing Akron.
But where does this come from? We're 3-3 the last 6 times. That's just
Goon. I said this on. We just taped the obligatory pregame show earlier this morning. Catch it on the For the Bloggy YouTube channel tomorrow. The Michigan man is an arrogant animal. Okay. The most arrogant creature in the wide world of college sports. And so, to me, this whole cheating scandal and their circle the wagons mentality, it's a chance for the most insufferable fans in the sport to become even more insufferable somehow. Like, despite having run of the conference for a century, they have constructed this narrative that exists only inside their heads, where they're somehow the victims in all of this, which is just astonishing. And only the most insufferably arrogant human beings imaginable could pull off this feat of just absolute navel-gazing hubris. But that's the Michigan man.
Who is that? Who is the ultimate Michigan man in media? It just drives me absolutely crazy. David Portnoy.
Oh, Portnoy. Okay.
Portnoy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just drives me absolutely insane.
But I mean, the thing is,
he's a Michigan guy.
But Portnoy, at the very least, Portnoy's a fan and doesn't pretend to be anything else. He doesn't project himself to be this voice from Mars objective journalist.
No, if you say Rich Eisen, I don't even want to talk about it. So, okay. I will say this: the Michigan man is a person who went to Michigan. I don't think that the arrogant people who didn't go there. I think the most arrogant fan base is Notre Dame, because 90% of them didn't go there.
Well, yeah,
You mean in the Big Ten, but and then with the Ohio State thing,
look, I am all about the Big Ten of fandom. I don't gatekeep who can be a fan of what team.
Yeah, I told you last night.
If you just hooked onto a college team to root for them like an NFL team, I am not nearly as focused on what is the core personality of the alumni fan. And that at Michigan, the Michigan fan is the most arrogant alumni fan.
Tell me what they've won.
A share of the national title in
since
1997.
Since the Great Depression or World War II, I don't know which one. They have a half of a national title.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to sit there and say.
By the way, has any Michigan fan ever thanked you for that half of the national title? Because I don't think Michigan gets it if Penn State doesn't get shut out versus Nebraska in '94. You got some buddies who are Michigan fans or alumni. Make sure they thank you for that 97 shared title.
But they were the number one team going in.
But my point is
going into that bowl game, they were the one team. And then Tom Osborne said, "Oh, by the way, this is my last ever game." And then all of a sudden,
Is that what happened? All right. Well, anyway.
And some people had always said, well, if Joe had done that, he probably would have gotten the title in '94.
Well, yeah.
And they said, but Joe was on, he was never going to politic it. That's not what he did. And I'll give, again, they are arrogant. They think that they rule everything. I mean, the fact that they laugh at the Big Ten, hierarchy, okay, they're not going to do anything to us. You know that. They thumb their nose at them. And I'm telling you, Harbaugh did nothing but thumb his nose. One, thumb his nose at the NCAA when he got his 3-game suspension earlier this year and puts 3, including his dad, as the head coach for one of the games.
By the way,
just complete thumb your nose, and then they say this comes up here, and he just does the exact same thing again.
How in the world is the irony lost on everyone covering this whole debacle? Jim Harbaugh was suspended this season. It just happened this season that he was suspended for lying about getting caught doing something wrong. He didn't get suspended for the cheeseburger. He got suspended for lying about the cheeseburger.
Correct.
And now I'm supposed to believe that he's lily white. I'm just supposed to take him at his word. He was suspended this season. It happened like a month ago. It happened like a month ago. How is nobody bringing this up? It's unbelievable.
Did I shake up a rumor in your head, a memory in your head with that tight end drag across the field 2 years ago? Did that? I want to go. Well, I'm going to go home and find that play.
Eric All was the tight end.
I'm just telling you.
So here's an interesting point.
We overload blitz.
Talking about that exact player, Goon, you made the point in the first hour of the show. For those of you who are just joining us, it's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show coming to you live from State College's Quaker Steak and Lube, where the all-you-can-eat wing buffet is up and running and available. You're listening to us locally here in Happy Valley on 98.7 The Fox.
Plug, that's good.
So at least what I do. You brought up the first hour of the show that it's a little surprising to you, and I agree with this. It was a good point that there are no disgruntled former Michigan players who have come out and spilled the beans.
You think
that
one
tight
guy,
end drag play you're talking about, the player who scored that touchdown, the tight end, Eric All, now plays for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And so does their starting quarterback. And so it is a little interesting, right, that there are two guys who left Michigan disgruntled who now play for another conference team, and we have not heard a peep from any of these guys about this. I don't know what to make of that, but it's a really interesting point. It's an angle I hadn't thought about.
I mean, the one that drove me crazy is that they say that their standing operating procedure was to have a guy, Stallions, next to the OC and then next to DC. And then this weekend they had nobody. It's like, okay, well, this is, what did you do? You changed everything. And then they're going to sit there and now they're trying to say that, other teams were giving our information away, and it's just like our country right now. It's just
the excuse has been different every 72 hours.
It's unbelievable.
None of it has changed what you got caught doing. And what I find just baffling about the whole thing.
Central Michigan. Who is that guy? How they cannot come out. We are at 8 days now.
Right.
First of all, CMU's coached with Stallions, so he would know who he is.
Right.
They coached it. Right. He was 2018. He coached at Michigan with him. McElwain was a wide receiver coach when he left Florida to go to Miami or Michigan.
So you get the feeling like they probably know.
They know they're cooked.
They know who it is. Yeah. And some attorney told him, hey, keep your mouth shut.
Well, that's what they came out. The NCAA said, well, the NCAA came out and said, we're investigating that now. So they can't talk about it. So
Right.
Imagine that.
I want to go back to the way Michigan is responding to these allegations. So, okay, if you're Jim Harbaugh and some NCAA investigator rolls in on you and says, hey, we think, Coach Harbaugh, that you may have back in 2020, illegally bought a cheeseburger for a kid who was visiting during COVID. Why would you lie and say you didn't do it? I mean, you're not going to get it. You're Michigan. To your point, they're not going to drop the hammer on you. Just come out and say, guys, you got me. Yeah. I bought the cheeseburger. Yeah. I throw myself at the mercy of the court. Nothing's going to happen. But instead, for some reason, there is some screw loose in that psychopath's head that his solution is, I'm going to deny. I am going to lie and say, not only did I not buy that kid a cheeseburger, I've never bought a cheeseburger. I've never even met that kid. I've never seen him before in my life. Why would you lie about it when what you got caught doing was really not that big a deal? I think this is the same. And I think the same general phenomenon at work. I think when all of this came out, Michigan's AD, Jim Harbaugh, the president, all of them would have come out and said, look, everybody, here's what it says in the NCAA rule book. We felt like we were operating within the boundary of the rules. Clearly this guy, Connor Stallions, he's Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay. He was taking this to an extent none of us were really aware of. But did we know this guy was scouting other opponents and he was coming back to us with information? Yes, we tried to find every competitive advantage we did. And maybe it seems like we got to the line and we crossed it a little bit. We're sorry. Again, we throw ourselves at the mercy of the court.
How about you just hide the fact that we just thought he was really good at game day catching signals? We really just thought he was that good.
You just see
the
what
man
I
was
mean,
a Marine. He was an espionage expert. He was a Marine, taught at the Naval Academy in this type of stuff.
Even that to me strains credulity, but not nearly as much as the approach they're taking, which is weird. No idea.
That's the problem.
I don't even know who that guy is. He was in my offensive and defensive coordinators. We have him on tape. He's on tape talking into the ear of the coordinator, saying like, "Here's the play," and that's the play. And I'm supposed to believe this went on for 2.5 years, and like we had no idea. We thought he was using the force. We thought he
used all the scenarios.
Extrasensory perception. Give me a break.
They stopped their season in 2020. They were going to fire him. He said, no, give me half my contract. And all of a sudden they go on this 2-year run here when this guy is running roughshod, doing what he wants. I mean, Matt Rule's press conference was crazy this week. Did you hear what he said?
I did, yeah.
So we lost 2 games on by a touchdown. 2 games we had bad replays that should not have been touchdowns, and we lost a game that was we were being over-scouted by another team. Come on, man.
As a Penn
you got Nebraska,
Stater,
you got Purdue.
As a Penn Stater, at Nebraska, Matt Rule ought to know all about Big Ten referees missing a ball that's over the goal line for a touchdown.
Imagine that.
You're like, Nebraska, cry me a river on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I will get real quickly on that point. Yeah. I will give every Nebraska fan I've ever met, I will give them credit. They all readily admit Matt Lehman scored that touchdown, and you guys should have beat us in 2012. So I mean, they're a good bunch. They
are always a good bunch.
Yeah.
You respect them.
Yes, absolutely.
Team coming in this weekend, I can't stand.
Correct.
I mean, you heard me tell the story last night with the
and they had a chance to just show a little bit of contrition. Like, I don't even, at the end of the day, yes, it gave them an advantage. I don't even think it is that big of a deal. I think they are turning it into a much bigger deal by just digging their heels in and saying, we had nothing to do with this. We're not guilty of anything. And if you come try and punish us in any way, we're going to sue the Big Ten. Like, they're digging the hole, like, for no reason.
The way they act, it's like, oh, we have lawyers at Michigan. The way they act. What the hell does the Big Ten have? Give me a break. They're supposed to. The Big Ten is supposed to fear Michigan because they have lawyers. Guess what? So does Rutgers. Rutgers got a lot of big lawyers. Maryland, a lot of lawyers.
Yep.
Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin. There's a lot of lawyers in the Big Ten. So go give me that shit. Crap. Excuse me, I got it again, man. I get all mad, man. I get all mad. So go back. You give me all the scenarios now. There is the there's the Tennessee South Carolina game. Suspect as heck. Hey,
you made a good point to me when we were talking.
You said
before the Players show last night
about the injuries, right?
Yeah. So that was one of the games where supposedly Honor Stallions is sharing intelligence, right, to help impact who goes into the playoffs.
Correct.
So he gave South Carolina the
guys
goods
he
on
worked
Tennessee.
With before.
Right.
Harbaugh had coached
the
DC.
South Carolina, terrible team. Tennessee, playoff contender. All of a sudden, South Carolina blows their doors off. And Tennessee's quarterback, help me on the name, plays for the Lions now. I've just blanked on the young man's name.
What was the
having a great season.
Heisman Trophy contender type of season.
Yeah. There's jailbreak, like the old Tecmo Bowl called play. And he busts his knee up, season over.
Season over. And ended his Heisman Trophy winning possibility.
And so where all the lawyers, you talk about lawyers, where the lawyers start to come in here is you have a kid who can point to a play where he can credibly say, Michigan provided the information that put my health at risk, and I suffered a serious injury.
Catastrophic injury.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be, guess the team that they played in the playoffs that didn't scout. And then there was a rumor that, did we all know if TCU was the one? Did they come out and say?
Yes. TCU created.
They came out.
They were tipped
and they
off,
said yes.
And they created a dummy set of signals.
I don't know if that was directly related to them or it was somebody.
They were reportedly warned by Rutgers, Ohio State, one of these others. Like, watch out for Michigan. They got your signals, and so they had a dummy set of signals. And again, that was a crazy game. Did they make J.J. McCarthy throw those picks? No. I mean,
but you're not the number one defense in the country, giving up 45 points in the first half.
It's very highly suspect.
Very, very highly suspect.
No such thing as coincidence.
And then we get into the guy. He's on the sidelines of Central Michigan. I mean, it still isn't proven though. And there's a chance it's not him. It's weird, but it's like weird. Central Michigan has not come out and been like, oh, that's Bob.
Well,
it's just weird.
It's weird they haven't said anything. They haven't either said like, oh yeah, that's Bob the janitor,
nothing.
They haven't said like, you know what, we don't know who it is, but it's not Connor Stallions. They just haven't said anything. Now the NCAA.
Yeah, we know who it was, or and then I told you last night the one that is sort of like the oddball here, and that is interstate fraud. Like if you are purposely. Like you're purposely.
You brought up the RICO laws.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, dude, I'm serious. I mean, not know the line, but you're adjusting. I'm trying to think. You're manipulating the lines of games by knowing what the other teams are playing, what their plays are defensively and offensively. You're manipulating a lot of money. I'm talking about billions of dollars. When it comes to interstate gambling now, they're involved in different states now, Las Vegas. I mean, that's the really, really crazy part about it when you start, like, if you really dive deep into it, and they were systematically, purposely cheating, knowing that they had other teams' plays and they were cheating and using them and they were winning games that way and blowing teams out. That's fraud. I mean, I know they weren't making any money on it, but you were manipulating a lot of money. You know what I mean? Does that sound right? I mean, there's definitely some kind of weirdness involved there.
This thing is like an onion, layer after layer.
Yes, it is, man. And it could also be, dude, this guy was a rogue idiot. We have he could be honest. He'd be like, we have no idea. We had no idea. He was just a huge fan. We literally thought he was just really, really good at what he did. And that's why we had him next to the DC and the OC. We figured he could nail these guys pretty quick because that's what he was trained to do in the military. Say that right off the gate.
And after 2.5 seasons, like, I'm not going to buy the whole, like, we just thought he was Rain Man excuse, right? Okay, so you are not going to be here on Thursday. I'm going to be filling in for you with Ironhead. So we're going to jump to our final break of the show. On the other side, I'm going to get your prediction, and I'm also going to ask you the question I asked all my obligatory castmates for the pregame show today. Think about it during the break. The audience can think about it during the break. Does all of this sideshow chaos turn into a distraction that hurts Michigan on Saturday, or is it a rallying point that lets them circle the wagons and actually get a boost? So that's the question for all of us to ponder. We'll answer it on the other side of the break. We are here at State College's Quaker Steak and Lube, and you are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show, watching us live on the internet or simulcasting locally on State College's Fox Sports Radio 98.7 FM, The Fox. We will be right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Haw-Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Haw-Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Haw-Baker.
The Goon and Ironhead.
Everybody, you are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show live from State College's Quaker Steak and Lube on 98.7 The Fox. We are here as we are every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. and every Tuesday starting at 4 o'clock here at the Lube. Their all-you-can-eat wing buffet fires up and goes all night long. So tonight is a great night to come on out, enjoy a drink from the bar, as many wings as you can eat, and watch a little action on the television.
What I always say is you got to have a little practice before the weekend. Tuesday night's a perfect practice.
This is the time to do it.
It's a great practice night, you know.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you work very hard on Monday and Monday nights, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's
no
like,
doubt.
you know, it's our like time to relax, you know.
So, Goon, this is your final 5 minutes of the week on the show. You'll not be here on Thursday. So, two questions. First of which, all of this going on with Michigan's football program right now. Do you think this is a distraction that hurts the team, or does it galvanize the locker room and actually help focus them as they come into Happy Valley and take on a good Penn State team? I'm
going to say it's both.
Sure, but ultimately, is it more of a positive or a negative?
For us?
Net negative or net positive for the Wolverines?
For the Wolverines, this is not a good thing for them. No. Because they can sit there and talk about how they're rallying this team and they're going to galvanize and they're going to band together and this and that. Everybody versus Michigan and this and that.
Yeah.
But they're still thinking about it. They're still talking about it. You know, they may not be talking about it in the building and stuff like that. And Jimmy might have been like, you know what, guys, I don't want to hear it. We're not talking about it. It didn't happen. Just we're moving on, and that's probably the way they're going to go with it. But the kids, they can get on social media.
They see
that's
it.
All
the coaches have to be thinking about it too.
Absolutely too.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Because if you're Jim Harbaugh, of course, you're probably a little bit concerned. But think about if you're on his staff. You're starting to think, is this guy going to the NFL? Is he going to get suspended? What's going to happen to me in my job?
Me and you talked about Michigan's schedule next year. We've talked about this in the offseason. He's gone. I think he was going to be gone anyway. Scandal or no scandal, I think he was going to be gone with that schedule they have next year. It is a bear of a schedule.
Do you think he was going to pull a Pete Carroll?
I think he was going to boogie out, and then, that's why he's trying to hold on as long as he can right now. That's just my personal opinion. I think they have him dead to rights, and
so you're saying this is working in Penn State's favor
for this weekend?
Ultimately,
absolutely. I think it's 100% working in our favor. They can sit there and say, "Oh, they're not caring about it." You know, we ran 423 yards of offense on rushing on these guys last year. I'm telling you, that's the way they're thinking.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Absolutely,
I think they are. I think they're already thinking about the Ohio State game.
No doubt about it.
They've basically written this one off.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This is not even a game that they're even worried about, in my opinion.
They put the W in permanent marker.
Playing into our hands, in my opinion. It really does. It really does. They want to get out of town. They want to stop thinking about this whole thing and yada, yada, yada. But you know what? You still got to come here and play here. And we are a top 10 team. There's no doubt. We had a very bad game against Ohio State. Now, if that's our MO lately, it's been the MO the last couple of years. So, James needs to prove that he could go out and beat a Michigan team. I don't care if Michigan got warts and they're not doing. They're still damn good.
They're a top 10 team. This is a big game.
Huge game.
I am not a believer. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if you are right now. This
24-14 Penn State.
10 points.
There's too much going on in Michigan's world right now. Way too much.
14.
And we are just sitting there.
You think they're going to score 2 touchdowns the whole game? And Penn State's going to win by 10 points.
We have a very angry defense from last year. Angry. Have you seen those kids play last week? When they wanted to play, when they really had to make some plays at Michigan, at Ohio State, when they had to make plays, they made plays.
Maryland stinks.
I'm telling you right now, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to win the Heisman Trophy winner because he's the Heisman Trophy winner because that guy is unbelievable. He won that Ohio State game. There's no doubt in my mind. He is that good of a player. Tomorrow or Saturday, I'm telling you, I know I'm a Kool-Aid drinker. I'm the ultimate homer, but I just have that feeling. And I had that feeling against Ohio State. I cannot deny it. But I'll tell you this much right now is that I have a better feeling about this because we're at home and there's so many distractions for Michigan right now versus Ohio State, knowing that we play like crap every time we go out there. Everything had to go right for us out there to win. It's just how I feel. And then I just think we're there right now. They are primed for a beating. They haven't played anybody. They've played nobody. We have no idea how they're going to do if they need to get a 4-minute offense. We don't know. We don't know how they're going to react. They haven't had to do it yet. So,
Goon, your lips to God's ears.
Let's go.
We will have more talk on Thursday here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show every Tuesday and Thursday live on the Goon and Ironhead Facebook page, as well as simulcast right here in Happy Valley on 98.7 The Fox, WFXS Pine Grove State College. Ironhead and I will be breaking down this Michigan-Penn State matchup from every angle. Thanks to all our sponsors, especially the good folks here at Quaker Steak and Lube. We will be back in 2 short days. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. We are Beat Michigan.
Let's do it.